Get ready to get started. We're waiting on the last couple. My name is David Martin. I'm chair of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. The Commission, present at the Woolfolk State Office Building, room 145 at 501 Northwest Street, Jackson, Mississippi, 39201. It's a regular Commission meeting being held today, Friday, March 3rd, 2023, at 10:03 a.m. pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 25-41-5, with some Commission members present via teleconference. Notice of this meeting, which included date, time, place, and purpose of the meeting, and identification of location available to the public, has been posted. An audio recording is being made of the meeting, and minutes will be recorded. We'll have our call to order. We're now calling to order at 10:03 a.m., Friday, March 3rd, 2023. As I call your name and commission members, please state your location of your presence for this meeting. James Creel is going to be absent. Rebecca Gray. Don't forget to unmute yourself. Ms. Gray, we see you're on the screen, maybe having a little technical difficulties there. Mr. William Hamilton.
William Hamilton, Oxford, Mississippi.
Thanks, sir. Mary Hill Taylor. I believe Ms. Taylor was going to be absent this morning. John Howard.
John Howard, Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Thanks, sir. Kim Hubbard.
Kim Hubbard, Flowood, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Teresa J. Rowe.
Teresa J. Rose, Starkville, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Bernell Kelly. I believe Dr. Kelly was going to be out today. Dr. Teresa Poole.
Teresa Poole, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Thank you. Dr. Shelley Simmons.
Shelley Simmons, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. And Ms. Etta Taplin.
Etta Taplin, Ruth, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have what we needed? We need to roll back on anybody? Rebecca Gray. Ms. Gray, are you present?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here now. President Rebecca Gray, Seaside, Florida.
Florida. Thank you, ma'am. That effort. All right, a quorum of the commission is present at the location stated for conducting a meeting through teleconference means. Move on to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes from the January 6, 2023 meeting of the Commission, Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, Licensure and Development. Entertain a motion to move forward. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Etta Taplin, Ruth, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Kim Hubbard.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. All right. This time we'll entertain a vote. All those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4, approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes from the February 2nd, 2023. Subcommittee members present on that date were Etta Taplin, Shelley Simmons, and William Hamilton. So those will be the ones who need to vote on this one. Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval, Etta Taplin.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second, William Hamilton.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, adoption of our agenda. Everybody should have had the opportunity to look at that. It came out early. Entertain a motion for approval, and please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
Thank you, ma'am.
Teresa Poole, second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve the agenda. Thank you all for that. Move on to item number 6, the updates from Dr. Corey Murphy.
Yes, sir, and I'll be brief. Good morning to each of you, and thank you, Chairman Martin. As you know, plans are underway for your retreat. You voted to host a retreat on March 31st of 2023. We've since identified a location, sent information via the save the date invite that you should have received a couple weeks ago. And so the location is Jackson Public School District's Environmental Learning Center. I also sent a web link for you to actually take a look at what that particular site has to offer. And hopefully with the work that you'll be doing there, we'll get to at least have an abbreviated tour of some of the 640 acres out there. And so we look forward to a day of learning and refreshing you on certain policies and things of that nature, but also bonding as a commission. And so I'll now turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Courtney Van Cleve, who's going to share with you results from the 2022-2023 Educator Shortage Survey and some of the statewide strategies we look to employ to address what we learned in the survey. Dr. Van Cleve.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chairman Martin, members of the commission, Dr. Murphy. I so appreciate you allowing me to join via teleconference means today, as in another Zoom meeting off to my side, we actually have about 40 of our district and university partners with the Mississippi Teacher Residency have joined us for another convening. So the neat thing about technology is it allows you to do this wild thing called being in 2 places at once. And so I do appreciate you all for allowing me the opportunity to do so today, even as I greatly appreciate the opportunity to share some updates on Mississippi's educator workforce. And so with that, I'll go ahead and get started by sharing my screen. And so with that, though, if there are any issues with being able to see the screen, if you all will just jump in by unmuting yourself. So again, thank you for that introduction, Dr. Murphy. My name is Courtney Van Cleve, and I serve as the State Director of Educator Talent Acquisition and Effectiveness within the Office of Teaching and Leading. So as we know, within the Mississippi Department of Education, we always start with our vision and mission, which is to create a world-class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce, and to flourish as parents and citizens. Within that, it is our mission to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. Within that vision and mission, our State Board of Education has set forth 6 strategic plan goals. And while today's conversation hits squarely on goal 4, every school has effective teachers and leaders. Within the Office of Teaching and Leading, we do believe that ensuring goal 4 establishes a firm foundation upon which to build the positive student outcomes, such as those listed in goals 1, 2, 3, and 6. Within that, we also continue to maintain our focus across the Mississippi educator career continuum. So supporting our educators from recruitment to retirement. And within that effort, we believe it is important to establish strong systems such as those we have previously discussed with MECA, and also in ensuring to continue to have relevant educator workforce updates on where we stand. And so with that, as promised, we'll go into some of the educator workforce shortages from our 2022-2023 educator workforce survey. And so with that being said, these results have also been shared with the State Board of Education as well, but we did want to make sure that you all had the opportunity to receive this information and address any questions you may have therein. So as a brief overview, the Office of Teaching and Leading launched the Educator Shortage Survey on August 18, 2022. It then closed on November 14, 2022. Yet again, 100% of Mississippi's traditional public school districts completed the survey, and it collected teacher, administrator, and school support staff vacancies, along with district-generated shortage strategies as well. And so the big piece here, the neat part for this year is we use the exact same questions as we used last year for comparability. This was both a request from you all as a commission and a request we received from State Board of Education members. So we'll be able to show some year-over-year comparisons. Before we start diving into those areas, we wanted to provide some clarification on the classifications used therein. So with teacher vacancies, what we're seeing across elementary, middle, high school, K-12, is we are currently seeing anticipated vacancies as reported by superintendents and or their designees of 2,593 for this school year. That is a reduction since this time, or since roughly winter of last year. That being said, elementary vacancies do continue to continue to be our highest overall. Shifting over to K-12 licensed educator vacancies, those are anticipated at 202 for this school year. That again is a reduction and is somewhat of a smaller percentage of the whole when we're thinking about workforce shortages. Administrator vacancies, though, are smallest overall area of total vacancy of 82, which again represents a reduction. That being said, the area that we're watching closely with these results is the number of K-12 support staff vacancies at 2,111. That area is an area of concern for us as it's both very large and has remained fairly consistent over time, with our teacher assistants, bus drivers being some of the highest overall area of need, and we'll dig into that a bit further momentarily. So as we then move forward from the classifications, we start to dig into what that looks like at the elementary level. So within the elementary vacancies, our highest areas of need continue to be lower elementary K3 and upper elementary 4-6. What you'll see on these slides is the first column is going to be the 21-22 vacancies as reported by superintendents and designees. Second column will be the 22-23 results, and then your third column is going to be the year-over-year difference. So while we have seen that reduction in K3 and 4-6, we are seeing, on the other hand, an uptick in pre-kindergarten vacancies as denoted by that purplish tint. Then moving into middle school vacancies, what we're seeing there, math remains our greatest overall area of need as there have been reductions across the board. Now, on the other hand, the picture is a bit more variable within high school vacancies. Here, the trend that we're noting is there appears to be a fairly consistent uptick in STEM vacancies, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The only exception there being biology on this slide, which had a reduction. And then on this next slide, algebra also had a reduction in vacancies, yet you can see that slightly offset by the uptick in geometry vacancies, so holding some of that STEM trend consistent. Then thinking towards K-12 vacancies, special education continues to remain our greatest area of need, even as it has had some of the greatest year-over-year reductions in vacancies. So that pattern is similar to what we're seeing with K-3 and 4-6 vacancies. We also, in addition to looking at grade spans and content areas, we look across regional shortages as well. And so here you can see that all of our congressional districts did indeed experience a reduction in the number of shortages, with the one exception of Congressional District 1 that had an uptick of 178. That being said, I think the important message here is that while there have been reductions in vacancies, we are still continuing to witness shortages across the board. So that there is still continuing work to be done on this front. Shifting a bit with our focus on K-12 licensed educator vacancies, the trend we're watching here are counselor vacancies. We haven't seen a drastic reduction in those number of vacancies. They remain fairly consistent, and that is fairly concerning to us given the elevated student mental health concerns we've seen and continue to hear as a result of the pandemic. Also, as Dr. Burson and her team have reported, what we're continuing to see are even reductions in the number of counselor candidates who are moving into preparation. So this is a trend we want to continue to monitor as it moves through the pipeline. Administrator vacancies, on the other hand, have again continued to be fairly small and are declining over time, which saves our big area of concern for the end, which is the number of teacher assistant vacancies and bus driver vacancies. Those we're particularly concerned about, given that, again, they have remained very large and are continuing to increase over time. We also think of it as something personally and professionally important. Professionally, we know that our teacher assistants are often some of our strongest pools of future teachers. And even as we know on a personal level, many of our Mississippi students rely on bus drivers to get to school, to drive to games, even to get home at the end of the day. So we did follow up with several districts that were experienced an increased rate of vacancies in these areas to just understand more about what they are experiencing. And we talked to bus drivers and superintendents, as well as transportation directors. And what we're hearing a lot of is that current responsibilities may not be as reflective of current wages, particularly as a result of several strategies that have been implemented to accelerate learning due to the pandemic, things like extended day tutorials and or one-on-one tutorials that will require either additional bus routes or additional services from teachers' assistants that are leaving kind of this general feeling of them being fairly overwhelmed. So that is something we're going to continue to collaborate across offices, such as our Office of Safe and Orderly Schools, even as we continue to advance some of the strategies that we have seen to be successful in serving as a career advancement pipeline for our bus drivers and teachers' assistants. One of those is indeed our Mississippi teacher residency that I'll be hopping back over to momentarily. We've seen that to be a strong pipeline for our teachers' assistants and also some of our bus drivers as well. We've discussed the mentoring and induction toolkit previously. You all have heard great updates from Dr. Murphy on MECA as well. So the last piece and strategy that I'll be discussing is a challenge we continue to hear from both our university and district partnerships around some of the licensure tests. So one of the strategies that we've been employing is to study the impact of the licensure testing criterion suspension and performance-based licensure pilot. And I'm excited to share some of those results today. But before doing so, to give you a bit of context on the licensure testing criterion, what we typically think of as, but not limited to, our praxis tests or other tests required for licensure, that effort really began with 2001's No Child Left Behind. It had the requirement around highly qualified teachers that many of you, like me, if you came through during that time, would certainly remember. In 2015, however, the Every Student Succeeds Act actually removed those highly qualified teacher requirements. As a result, MDE then initiated a nationally unprecedented performance-based licensure study, wherein we were looking at alternatives for those educators who have shown to be having a meaningful impact on student achievement as a special non-renewable licensed teacher, emergency licensed teacher, even as a teacher assistant, yet have continued to face challenges in praxis and or other licensure testing passage. So even as that study was happening, as we know, in 2020, the State Board of Education approved the suspension of the licensure testing criterion due to COVID-19. And so when there are some of those big disruptions in our educator landscape, we always want to be sure that we are studying those. And so in that effort, the Mississippi Department of Education partnered with the New Teacher Project, otherwise known as TNTP, Teach Plus Mississippi, and Harvard University to study both the impact of the suspension and the PBL pilot. So moving into some of the research questions that we had with these groups, with TNTP and Teach Plus, we were looking at how did the licensure testing suspension impact Mississippi educator licensure. With Harvard, we were exploring how do students of PBL candidates perform as compared to students of comparable teachers. So within that licensure testing criterion suspension, we found the following elements within that particular study. So we did indeed find that the number of people granted initial 5-year teaching licenses rose sharply during the licensure testing criterion suspension from 1,774 in 2019 to 3,516 in 2022. Then when you layer that picture over the emerging picture that we continue to have around teacher vacancies, what you can see is that using the 2021 reported vacancies, there could have been fewer newly licensed teachers as compared to vacancies in 2020. In 2022, there are now 923 more newly licensed teachers as compared to reported vacancies. Here, there are a few big caveats. Number one, that 3,036 over 2020 with the dotted line, that's not a real number because we didn't start administering the shortage survey until the following school year. That being said, we did see it as a possible useful proxy in how the curves between licensure and vacancies may have actually flipped as a result of the testing suspension. The other key thing is we don't want to make the assumption that those newly licensed teachers are actually using the endorsement to be a teacher in our classrooms, and also that they are teaching in some of the areas where we currently have the greatest overall areas of need. So that being said, moving into then the PBL pilot study findings, a couple of reminders for those of you who've joined the commission since we started that particular pilot. I've included the candidate selection here, and then we also were looking across two comparison groups as we move into these study findings. The first comparison group was our fully licensed educators who passed all required licensure tests in similar grade levels and subject areas. But then we talked to superintendents and they said, actually, that's not the best comparison. The best comparison group is another special non-renewable and or emergency licensed teacher who I would realistically be able to hire if not for our PBL candidates in the pilot program. So we took those two comparison groups and then we looked across two different outcomes, student achievement on state tests and student attendance for the years outlined. On the, in terms of the impacts and effects on state test scores, we did indeed find that students assigned to PBL candidates perform about the same as students assigned to comparable teachers across years and comparison groups. So here are the findings, in case a little bit of interpretation is helpful. Here the findings are important in that none of them are statistically significantly different from zero. So whether they're slightly positive or slightly negative, that again, the fact that they're not statistically different from zero does again reinforce that students with our PBL candidates are performing about the same as students assigned to comparable teachers. But if you're kind of like me and you're trying to look for statistical significance or just something that screams positive outcomes, we also looked at student absences and attendance. And here we did indeed find several marginally significant negative effects that suggest that students of PBL teachers have somewhat fewer absences than students of comparable teachers. And so here the negative values are good in that they mean that students assigned to PBL candidates are absent fewer days, which means they're in school more days. This negative 1.31 represents an entire day, an entire 1.31 days, which is important when we consider in context the past few years students. This represents about a 10% decrease in absenteeism in the middle of a pandemic. So that is a finding that we're certainly going to continue to explore and carry forward. So in summary, as an overview, the findings of these studies have revealed that number one, educator licensure increased during the licensure testing criterion suspension. Two, student attendance increase with PBL candidates. And then three, together, the benefits of the licensure testing criterion may be offset by reductions in educator workforce candidates and student attendance. In other words, these innovative pathways, such as the PBL pilot, have the potential to increase both educator workforce quantity and quality over time. And so with that, that leads to our final opportunity, which is to continue the policy and or programmatic efforts to expand access to PBL candidates via local district request. And with that, I will be happy to stop sharing and take any questions and or comments.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Dr. Van Cleve, those update. Appreciate what y'all are doing. That's a lot of data, a lot of time to put in to get all that together. And I'll echo what you had said as well. We're hearing some good things on MECA. There's always a couple of tweaks and things to be done, but that's with any product. Even our old one had some things that had to be done. So we appreciate that. I think the rollout went really well considering how massive the changes were. So thank you for that.
Thank you all.
What you're thinking? All right. Then we'll move on to item number 7. Approval of certain educator preparation providers to offer the Mississippi State Board of Education approved program that leads to licensure in the area of elementary education K-6 by way of a Master of Arts in Teaching non-traditional licensure pathway. Dr. Burson.
Good morning, Chairman Martin, Dr. Murphy, members of the commission. My pleasure to be before you today to bring some recommendations for approval for some of our educator preparation providers to offer programs. As you know, over the past year, we've been very busy with modifying programs and creating new programs to address district needs, in particular around elementary education, as Dr. Van Cleve just shared. And so for the first item, we would like to bring for you to consider Bellhaven University, Delta State University, Jackson State University, Mississippi College, and Teach for America to offer the Master of Arts in Teaching K-6. As you know, we currently have a 4-6 Master of Arts in Teaching program. We recently approved the supplemental endorsement for elementary, and this is another additional pathway for those seeking the 120 licensure to add it through the Master of Arts in Teaching program.
All right. Thank you for that. Entertain a motion for approval. Motion take under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion for approval, Etta Taplin.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, John Howard.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? All right, then we'll move to take a vote. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. And item number 8, it's going to be yours as well. It's approval of Mississippi State University to offer the Mississippi State Board of Education approved program that leads to licensure elementary education, K-6. We have Master of Arts teaching, non-traditional licensure pathway.
Same one.
Dr. J. Rowe, I believe this is part of your university. So need you to step out for just a minute, please.
And moving right along with this is the same program. It's item 7, the Masters of Arts in Teaching, but because Dr. J. Rowe is a member of our commission and has to recuse herself, this item is voted on separately, as will be item 10 when we get to it for William Carey University, who is also asking for this approval.
All right, so it's the same product, this for the one college where Dr. J. Rowe stepped out, so that lets us keep our quorum. We have a motion for approval.
Motion for approval, Etta Taplin.
Thank you, ma'am. Get a second?
Second, John Howard.
Thanks, sir. Any further discussion? Then we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 9. Same thing, but specified for William Carey, I believe.
No, this item 9 is going to be for special education, mild moderate program. Items 9 and 11 are the same. However, we have separated those due to Dr. J. Rowe and Dr. Poole being on our commission. As mentioned with the K-6 modification to the program or the new program expansion, we've also been working with special education programs to ensure that those candidates who complete programs are well prepared to provide services to a full scope of K-12, especially around the literacy pieces. And so this item is just the approval of Mississippi State to continue to offer their special education, mild, moderate, Master of Arts in Teaching with the modifications that they've made for our recommendations moving forward.
Entertain a motion for approval. Motion take under advisement. Just identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 10. This is
for William Carey University to offer the Masters of Arts in Teaching K-6.
So Dr. Poole, you'll need to recuse yourself. Is Dr. J. Rebecca on?
She's back.
Good deal. All right, so with that, that is that Masters of Arts in Teaching, K through 6, non-traditional licensure pathway. So something we discussed a moment ago, William Carey. So I'll entertain a motion for approval, motion taken under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Etta Taplin.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, John Howard.
Thanks, sir. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And moving on to item 11, this is William Carey's one for the special education mild moderate.
That is correct. So item 11 does flow with item 9, where you just approved Mississippi State's Master's of Arts in Teaching mild moderate K-12, and William Carey is requesting the same.
We'll entertain a motion for approval, motion taken under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, John Howard.
Thanks, sir. Any discussion? We'll move on to the vote. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you for that. We appreciate everybody's effort as we did have to keep our quorum and asking those people to step at the same time. Appreciate everybody's patience. We'll move on to agenda item 12, approval of ratifications, agreed upon orders, voluntary surrenders. Mr. Scott DeYoung.
Thank you for the introduction, Chairman Martin. Good morning, Dr. Murphy, members of the commission. I have 5 agreed orders that I would like to present to the commission today for consideration of ratification. In the matter of Mississippi Educator License number 266862, Jennifer McNeil, whereas on or about May 19th, 2022, the Office of Educator Misconduct, the Mississippi Department of Education received an Appendix C report submitted by the Tate County School District that alleged the respondent violated Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct. And whereas a violation of Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Conduct and Standard Ethics and Standards of Conduct is grounds for discipline of a Mississippi Educator license pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373212F. And whereas the respondent, Jennifer McNeil, has consented to enter into an agreed order placing the respondent's educator license on probation without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the commission. The respondent, Jennifer McNeil, admits violating Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics during the 2021-2022 school year. And that upon execution of this agreed order, educator license number 266862, to teach in the state of Mississippi, and all privileges belonging to said license shall immediately be placed on probation for 1 calendar year from the date of ratification by the commission. It is further agreed the respondent shall, at own expense, complete a seminar or coursework related to ethics in the classroom from a reputable source satisfactory to the commission prior to the conclusion of the probationary period stated prior. The respondent shall submit proof of attendance and successful completion of the course of study to the Office of Educator Misconduct. The probationary period shall remain in effect for 1 calendar year. Any allegations or violations of state and or federal law and or the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct or failure to complete a requirement of the probation during the probationary period shall automatically result in the immediate suspension of the educator's license. If the respondent's license is suspended due to failure to comply with the conditions of her probation, She may petition for reinstatement of her license following conclusion of the suspension period. Such reinstatement petition shall be in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 373214A. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the respondent's educator license only by a majority of all members of the Commission present at the meeting called for that purpose upon satisfactory showing of evidence of rehabilitation. In the matter of Mississippi Educator License number 191238, Amanda Gibson, whereas the respondent, Amanda Gibson, is the holder of Educator License number 191238, issued by the Mississippi Board of Education. On or about November 17, 2021, the Office of Educator Misconduct received an Appendix C report submitted by the Covington County School District alleging that Amanda Gibson violated Standard 4 of the Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct. Information provided by the Covington County School District and supporting investigations revealed that the respondent violated Standard 1.2C, inappropriate language on school grounds or any school-related activity, and a violation of Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics. The respondent, Amanda Gibson, has consented to enter into an agreed order, placing her license on probation without the necessity of a hearing before the Commission. Amanda Gibson, without any admission of violating Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, consents to the entering of this agreed order and resolution of the allegations in the complaint filed by the Office of Educator Misconduct. Upon execution of this agreed order, a license to teach in the state of Mississippi and all privileges belonging to said license shall immediately be placed on probation for 6 months from the date of ratification by the Commission. It's further agreed that she shall, at her own expense, complete a seminar or coursework related to educator ethics from a reputable source satisfactory to the Commission prior to the conclusion of the probationary period stated above. Probationary period shall remain in effect for 6 months. Any allegations or violations of state and federal law or Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct or failure to complete a requirement of this probation result in an immediate suspension of educator license for a period of 1 year. If the educator's license is suspended due to failure to comply with the above conditions, she may petition for reinstatement. Such reinstatement petition shall be in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 373214A. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the respondent's educator license only by a majority of all members of the Commission present at the meeting called for that purpose. In the matter of Mississippi Educator License number 302602, Randall DeLauder, whereas on or about August 16, 2022, the Office of Educator Misconduct received an Appendix C report submitted by the Hinds County Public School District that alleged the respondent violated Standard 10 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct. The respondent admits violating Mississippi Code annotated 37957 and Standard 10 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct on or about August 9, 2022, by resigning or otherwise breaching contract and or abandoning the position of licensed employee with the Hinds County School District without first being released from her contract, and that such action constitutes grounds for suspension pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373212A. Upon execution of this agreed order, the respondent shall immediately be deemed to have relinquished or otherwise surrendered her license to teach in the state of Mississippi and all privileges belonging to said license. The respondent's license shall be relinquished, suspended, or otherwise surrendered from the date of ratification by the Commission through June 30th, 2023. The respondent may be eligible for reinstatement upon conclusion of the suspension without the necessity of a hearing. In the matter of Mississippi Educator License number 244168, Eleanor Chandler. Whereas a complaint by sworn affidavit from the Office of Educator Misconduct was filed alleging respondent Eleanor Chandler violated Mississippi Code annotated 373212F, and the respondent has consented to enter into an agreed order and make a voluntary surrender or suspension and relinquishment of her teaching license without the necessity of a disciplinary condition. It is therefore stipulated as follows. The respondent admits violating Mississippi Code annotated 373212F during the 2022-2023 school year while employed in the Calhoun County School District. All in violation of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards 4.2 as adopted by the Mississippi State Board of Education. Upon execution of this agreed order, this respondent shall immediately be deemed to have voluntarily surrendered educator license to teach in the state of Mississippi and all privileges belonging to said license. Further agreed, the respondent shall, at his or her own expense, complete a 3-credit hour or equivalent seminar or coursework related to educator ethics from a reputable source, satisfactory to the Commission prior to the submission of any petition for reinstatement. The respondent shall submit proof of attendance and successful completion to the Office of Educator Misconduct when petitioning for reinstatement. The respondent's license shall be relinquished, suspended, or otherwise surrendered for a minimum of 1 year from the date of ratification by the Commission, and the respondent shall not apply for reinstatement before the expiration of 1 year from the date of ratification. After 1 year from the ratification by the Commission, the respondent may petition for reinstatement of educator license pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373214A and the rules of procedure governing disciplinary proceedings of the Commission. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the educator's license only by a majority vote of all the members of the Commission present at the meeting called for that purpose, and the respondent showing evidence of rehabilitation. And finally, in the matter of Mississippi Educator License number 322643, Jala Patterson, whereas on or about May 6, 2022, the Office of Educator Misconduct received an Appendix C report submitted by the Greenville Public School District alleging that the respondent violated Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, and a violation of Standard 4 is grounds for discipline of a Mississippi educator license pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373212F. The respondent has consented to enter into an agreed order placing license on probation without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the Commission. Upon execution of this agreed order, license to teach in the state of Mississippi and all privileges belonging to said license shall immediately be placed on probation for 1 calendar year from the date of ratification. It's further agreed the respondent shall, at own expense, complete a seminar or coursework related to ethics in the classroom from a reputable source satisfactory to the Commission prior to the conclusion of the probationary period. Proof shall be submitted to the Office of Educator Misconduct. Probationary period will remain in effect for 1 calendar year, and any allegations or violations of state and or federal law and or the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct or failure to complete a requirement of the probation shall result in the immediate suspension of educator's license for a period of 1 year. If the respondent's license is suspended, the respondent may petition for reinstatement of her license following conclusion of the suspension period. Such reinstatement petition will be in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 373214A and the rules of procedure governing disciplinary proceedings of the Commission. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the respondent's educator license only by a majority of all members of the Commission present, and upon the respondent's satisfactory showing of evidence of rehabilitation. That concludes the agreed orders by the Office of Educator Misconduct. We respectfully request that you consider these for ratification.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all's work on that as always. Any discussion? Ratifications, these final orders? All right, the invitation. Entertain a motion for approval. Motion taken under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Teresa Poole. So moved.
Teresa
motion.
J. Rose, second.
Poole, motion for approval. J. Rowe, was that a second?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item 13, which will be our adjournment. We do have a couple of reminders. Everybody got back. We agreed that March 31st was the retreat date. Dr. Murphy has sent out the reminder of that and location as well. Looks like a very interesting place, so we're glad to check that out. So hopefully everybody can make that. It'll be a good day for all of us to get together and kind of build that team up. Also a reminder, our next regular meeting is May the 5th, 2023. Hopefully we'll have a couple more commission members to join us then, some new people as well. So as we go through that, please make it available so that we're all able to have a quorum and continue to do the business that needs to be done. This time, I entertain a motion for approval for adjournment.
Motion for approval for adjournment, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second, Etta Taplin.
Thank you, Ms. Taplin. All those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Sounded unanimous. Thank you all. Appreciate your time. Everybody have safe travels from where you're at. Have a great day. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned. 10:49.